And we're good.
All right. Welcome in, Rutgers fans, to another edition of the live post-game show following a Rutgers football game. First loss of the season for the Scarlet Knights today in Lincoln, Nebraska, 14-7. They fell to the Cornhuskers in a game that I don't think I've been as frustrated watching Rutgers in at least 2 seasons. The amount of baffling decisions and bad plays that we made, it's just, my head's still spinning a bit. We'll get into kind of everything about the game, but Rich, is there any high-level stuff that you want to touch on before we kind of talk through the nuts and bolts of what actually happened today?
I guess the biggest thing, Brian Felter being out, basically just crumbled the entire offensive line room. I know we saw flashes of it last week when Dante Chin came in for a little bit, and he just got basically turnstiled multiple times. And they didn't even give him a shot today, and they decided, all right, you know what, we're going to try Taj White out. And Taj White, in limited snaps last season, has looked solid at tackle. I wouldn't say great, but I think he's been solid. And then all of a sudden today, he was basically a turnstile as well. I don't know if it was just on him, though, because Holland Pierce had 2 false starts today. Tyler Needham had a false start. Ineligible man downfield on Taj White. Almost every single penalty, minus that one late one from Dino Kalikmanis, was on the offensive line. So the offensive line just didn't show up to play. So I can't blame Ethan entirely for the offense struggling, but he definitely was a part of it as well. No question about it. And play calling. I think play calling was just atrocious. There was just so many missed opportunities there, and it just seems like you said it best in your tweet. They shot themselves in the foot so many times that they probably don't have any toes left at this point. It was insane.
Yeah, Mr. Shake, I said this exact same thing. We know how Washington fans felt last week now, where I think Rutgers made more of a conscious effort last week to just kind of hold on, whereas Nebraska didn't really string together anything in the second half. But yeah, great point, because it was kind of similar, the yin to the yang of life and football. We are on the dark side of the yin yang today, but let's just kind of walk through the game. We can go and highlight specific moments. Nebraska wins the toss. They elect to receive. One of the keys I had for this game was, if Nebraska received the ball, Rutgers needed to establish itself on defense, get a stop, and get the ball back to establish the offense. Sure enough, they do get a stop. We get a block punt. Again, another key I had for this game was taking advantage of the special teams miscues of Nebraska. And I'm going to say a lot of the keys that I had to winning this game, and they ended up happening, which is why it's even more frustrating that we ended up losing. So we block a punt on Nebraska's first drive. We all were feeling pretty fucking good at that point. Rutgers gets the ball. First 3 offensive plays: a 17-yard rush for Kyle Monungai, a 3-yard rush for Kyle Monungai, a 15-yard rush by Kyle Monungai, 3 plays, 35 yards from him. We're establishing that run, just like we said, like one of the keys I said we should. They're looking great. Kyle loses a yard on the following play. We get a 7-yard pass complete to Chris Long. Beautiful. Sets up 3rd and short, staying on schedule. Incomplete pass to Chris Long. Okay, whatever. We kick a field goal here. We go up 3-0. Maybe not, because it's swirling winds. Nope. Fake field goal on a play that stood no chance. If you watch it again, and we can, typically when you run a fake, it's because you see a certain look from the special teams unit on the other side. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, we either totally whiffed on the blocking, or we totally whiffed on the read, because there was 2 guys that had Timmy Ward dead to rights when he was running the ball. We came nowhere even close to actually converting.
I think he got swung by 3. It was insane.
Yeah. So Nebraska takes over, and they just start ripping chunk plays. And this is what we couldn't have happen in this game. Thankfully, they did get it under control as the game went on, but 28-yard pass to Corey Brown, 36-yard pass to Ramir Johnson that almost went for 6. Jabome ended up, coming from behind and trying to strip him of the ball. And Nebraska ends up scoring on a 4th and 1 conversion. That's something that Nebraska ran circles around Rutgers in the first half of these 3rd and 4th down conversions. I think Rutgers went like 1 for 8 in 3rd and 4th down conversions in the first half. Nebraska went 7 for 12. So 12% versus 57%. As the second offensive drive for Rutgers picks up, again, look at all this rushing success we're having. 14 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards. And it's not just Kyle. This is the end of the first half at this point. Let's look at our first quarter at this point. Let's look at these first quarter numbers. Passing game obviously hasn't come around yet. 10 rushes for 70 yards. 7 yards a clip. Running great. Then we start to abandon it. I don't know why. I couldn't really explain it if I wanted to, but almost as quickly as we establish the run, we give up on it. So we get a 1 yard run for Samuel Brown, incomplete pass. It sets up, what could have been a situation where you go for it on 4th and 3, but we commit a false start, which forces us to punt. We exchange punts with Nebraska in the next 2 drives. Sorry, no, I'm reading this wrong. Nebraska ends up going on a long drive here before they have to punt it back to us. Yeah, sorry. Rutgers, to their credit, does end up passing the ball pretty successfully to start this 4th offensive drive. 15-yard catch by KJ Duff, 18-yard catch by Dymere Miller, run by Ethan Kaliakmanis. But then we kind of we just go to all pass here. We don't even attempt a rush by Kyle Monangai in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 offensive plays on this drive, and we attempt a 52-yard field goal in what I can only describe as a wind tunnel that's swirling. It's literally like 25 to 30 mile an hour consistent winds in the first half, and we're attempting a 52-yarder. Now, mind you, it was actually a really good kick by Jay Patel, bounces off the upright, but still, you got to wonder. It's kind of like no man's land, I guess. But again, I don't know.
He hits that. I mean, completely changes the game. Completely. It would be what, 7-3?
It'd be 7-3. Yeah, but instead we come up with another possession inside of Nebraska territory without any points. Nebraska ends up just chipping away at our run game here, and then luckily we pick off a really poorly thrown ball by Dylan, and this is right around where we started actually getting to Dylan. This is when we started actually having some pressure land on him. And I believe on this first down play, we were able to kind of rough him up a little bit. Yeah, because it was a rush up the middle. He and then he throws the interception right to Flip Dixon. And of course, we give it right back. The interception by Ethan Kaliakmanis on a 4th and 3, which you got to wonder. Let's actually talk through this a little bit more. 2nd and 8 after the Kyle Monangai run. This is the Taj White total turnstile move. Just allowing the best defensive lineman on Nebraska to go basically unblocked right at Ethan Kaliakmanis. This guy's 6'6", 310. Taj White doesn't even get really a hand on him. He gets a shove basically. And then Kyle has this hero play where he sets us up for a possible conversion on 4th down rather than just a punt, where he makes a guy miss. And this is could we not attempt a run on 4th and 3 or 4th and 4? I don't know.
I would have ran it personally. You have Kyle Monangai who's been pretty consistent throughout this part of the game at this point. Go for it. Even if I know they're not running to the outside at all, push it up the gut. You might be able to get 3, if not more yards. He's proven if he gets one little cut, he's going to get more than 3 yards easily. So just go for the run play. At that point, how many runs or how many plays in a row has it not? I guess that. Oh, the rush was the first down rush. Okay, so one rush between. What are we looking at now? 14 offensive plays in a row.
Yeah. I'm just trying to catch up on some of these comments here.
And he throws across his chest for the interception too. The two really and bad passes across the chest, on the run as he's slightly injured because that leg sleeve and knee brace wasn't there last week.
Yeah. Yep. Nebraska definitely sniffed this one out every time it was called. Thankfully, we only ran it like 2 or 3 times. Yep. Nebraska fan here. No, we didn't dominate anything. We got lucky that your wide receiver didn't catch that walk-off touchdown.
Ben Black.
Or, as we'll talk about in a little bit, why Schiano did not protest for a review of the Kyle Monangai first down rushing attempt when we blocked that punt. I will go. We'll actually watch that play as a group, and then we'll go right into the NCAA rulebook because there was some scuttlebutt as to whether or not a coach can actually challenge something. You can't directly, but there is a mechanism for which a college coach can request a review. The only bright spot was our tight end today. I don't necessarily agree there.
Say that, yeah.
Yeah, our tight end did nothing today.
He had the 1 4th down catch on the last drive of the game.
Yes.
That's about it.
Right. Sorry about that. That dropped TD wasn't luck. It was typical Rutgers football. Disagree. Terrible luck.
No.
We got to stop being self-hating Rutgers fans. We should have caught that.
That was just a true freshman thinking he had the ball in his hands and just turning too quickly.
Yeah. More screens. Yeah, I agree. The few times we did run screens this season, they've been successful. And you can't have an offense built around screens, but it's a way to keep the defense honest because they can't just throw a bunch of guys, up the middle like they did for most of the game. Mike Teal summed it up best in his post-game show. Missed opportunities, frustrating. Yep. This I totally disagree with. They dominated Rutgers on the offensive and defensive line. No, they didn't. Let's take a look at the game. These are the sacks and the tackles for loss on both teams. Both teams had 4 sacks. Rutgers had 7 TFLs. Nebraska had 7 TFLs. Rutgers had 2 turnovers forced. Nebraska had 1. Time of possession very similar. That's just not true. Sorry.
That's just non-ball knowing.
This is a great point.
I mean, I guess, yeah. That quarterback, Paiva, whatever it is. Holy shit, man. He's got balls because there's a 4th down I saw. And I was watching it on Twitter. There's a 4th down highlight clip where he just chucks it up to the receiver and just prays and touchdown. And it's oh, my God.
Yep. Let's get back to where we were. So we threw the interception. Nebraska gets the ball and just kind of marches down the field again.
Yep.
Another big play, touchdown. At this point, it just felt like Rutgers was kind of pressing too much. I do think that Rutgers was very much still in it, and it was clear that all these self-sabotage style mistakes, we could get back in we can get into halftime and kind of recenter ourselves and kind of put new focus in the second half. And of course, we give Nebraska another chance to score because Ethan was trying to pull this was a bad play by Ethan where he was running across the field and he tried to throw a ball across his body and it was just a terrible pass. Sayer Wright was on his back, tipping it to himself. And we give them the ball at midfield. We're lucky that they didn't score here.
Jersey boy under pressure too. Or no, I'm sorry, New York guy, Cameron Linhart. Was at Bosco, but New York technically.
So we go into halftime down 14-0. I felt that we needed to come out after halftime and just reestablish our identity because we kind of lost it in the first half.
Sure.
So the second half, we get the ball, we come out, and we just start reestablishing our offense. We have a nice completion to Dymere Miller. We have another nice completion to Ian Strong. And then we just abandon the run here. We get a 2-yard gain. We miss Kyle Monangai. We miss Ian Strong. And then, again, we get into Nebraska territory, and we don't put any points up. Now, great punt. The first 9 possessions of this game, we got into Nebraska territory 8 times, and we didn't score any points. And the 9th time, The only other possession we had, we ended at the Rutgers 47. So we were moving the ball. It's just we kept shooting ourselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where we truly, in my opinion, really started to kill ourselves. We got our second block punt after stopping Nebraska once again. At this point, I don't know how many drives in a row we stopped them.
It was insane. It was just punt after punt between both teams. It was
Mm-hmm.
like 5 punts in a row, I think.
Mm-hmm. We blocked the punt. Shaquan Loyal picks it up and gets it down to what, the 2-yard line? Yeah, Nebraska 2. Immediately we run it, and they sniffed it out, and we lost 3 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The following play, Dymere Miller gets torn to the ground by the Nebraska defensive back, setting up 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Kyle Monungai clearly gets in, and we're going to go to that right now to show you what that looked like. But it was just a no-doubt touchdown. Of course, I saved this a while ago, but now we have it again. All right, so I want to just go through this and be able to rewind as many times as I want, because this was insane how this played out.
Insanely
fast.
All
right. Yeah. So sorry if this is too loud. Let me know, Rich, if this is too loud.
Yeah, that's fine.
Take a look at this, lined up in the slot.
Ground. Easy call.
Blatant. Yeah.
Right down to the ground.
So this is now Rutgers down 14-0, middle of the 3rd quarter. It's 1st and goal from the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Watch from the far sideline. The referee, who cannot even see where Kyle Monungai is who marks him as down. So pretty clearly breaks the plane. He's got half his body over. Now look at the referee right here, who is not marking the play for some reason. He's not calling anything. The referee from the other sideline is the one who has the best view of the play. He doesn't do anything, but look from the top of the screen who comes in and marks this ball. Why is this guy marking where Kyle Monungai is down? He can't see the freaking play.
Yeah, it should
he
be.
He cannot see where Kyle Monungai is. Why are you, Mr. Referee, marking where Kyle Monungai is down? Now, that's egregious. I'm going to read you the NCAA rulebook on the initiation of the replay process. So there's 2 ways to stop two methods to stop a game to review on the ruling on the field. The replay official and their crew shall review every play of the game. The replay official may stop a play during a game at any time before the ball is legally snapped on the next play, whenever they believe that there is a reasonable evidence that there was an error made on the initial on-field ruling. The play is reviewable. The outcome of the review would have a direct competitive impact on the game.
Check.
And there's a specific, literally at the very top of this section for reviewable plays. It's literally it's Rule 12, Section 3 of the NCAA football rulebook that was last published in 2023. Section 3, this is where the start of all reviewable plays is. This is literally the first line. As a general rule, the position of the ball in relation to the goal line is always reviewable by instant replay. That's literally the first line on the section about reviews in college football. Now, you can either wait. There's 2 mechanisms for this review to be called. You can wait for the review to call it in to the referees on the field, or you can call a timeout as the coach and request the referees review a play. They can decline, in which that timeout would then be burned, or they can review it, in which you would not lose your timeout. Follow me? Watch what they decide to do instead.
See if that knee was down.
They don't even give the staff time. Look how much time is left on the clock when they snap it. So remember, there's a 35-second play clock in college football.
official saw. But
It's like his whole upper half of his body crosses.
he's going
Still
down.
moving. Even if his knee's down, like it's... Yeah.
No review.
So there's not.
Second down and goal.
Okay, I remember it happening differently, so I apologize.
No, they got
But
some
still.
time, but...
How are you not barking down? Like, where's it, why are they not barking at the refs to review that play? Call a timeout, review that play. Like, we have had no luck scoring all game. Why are we not trying to get a review here?
That's not typical Greg either. Like Greg is the guy that's going to scream at the refs more than anyone. Like he's usually down there screaming at whether it be the head ref or whoever's the closest ref to him usually.
So it says Schiano addressed the review in the presser. I haven't seen the presser. Can somebody in the chat give the cliff notes of what he said on the review? And maybe it's down here, then I don't see it.
See if I can find it real quick. I'm gonna try to pull it up, see if I can find the link to it.
I disagree that it was not clear or conclusive. Like we all just saw it again. Regardless, it doesn't need to be 100% conclusive in order to get a review. And it, in my opinion, was pretty conclusive on the field.
I don't see anything yet.
All right, I'm gonna.
Regardless, we'll have it up soon, and I'll figure it out.
Jordan, thank you for the donation. Sad, but a good chance we are 6-1 over the next 2 weeks. I agree, but it's
gonna be tough.
Purdue sucks so bad. I don't think Wisconsin's gonna beat us next week.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Delmarva Fishing. I'm late, boys. Did we talk about the refs and Rutgers allowing Nebraska to steal this one? I don't think this was all on the refs.
I mean, this play specifically,
this
maybe.
play was terribly called, but I don't think we lost the game because of the refereeing.
Yeah.
I
think the play calling is just insane.
The play calling wasn't great, and like if we're worried about not calling burning a timeout there, like we had to use one on this drive anyway. I believe we called it like before fourth down.
I mean, if we keep going, that fourth down, this is the fourth down call on this one where they try to do like the pick play almost.
Yeah, in a play we haven't like run at all this year.
Slide over and then jump on the back of an unguide to get the stop, and then Deshaun Singleton.
And I mean, I'm not even mad that they didn't run it at all this year. It's just more so like insane that like the pass was bad, the play call like didn't work at all. And Chris Long, I'm sorry, but anytime there's any type of coverage on Chris Long, it's uncatchable basically. He's not going to catch that ball.
He can't catch passes in traffic. Like
At all.
He's never been able to do it, and yet we put him in position to have to do it in this game. How many times? 4 or 5?
Yeah, a lot.
Like what's the definition of insanity? Like,
see that
trying
right
the same
there.
thing.
You see how many people collapsed on that field goal block or on a fake field goal?
All right, so that
we can go back to that if you want, but I know I'm going back and forth. My bad.
No, you're good. I'm going to go back to the play playlist here, so we can just kind of talk through the rest of the game. So we, again, get deep into Nebraska territory and don't score because, they called the timeout here. So rather than like burning a timeout here, why not call a timeout, advocate for the review to be called on first down when you clearly scored? I don't know. I know I'm crazy. Yeah. Defense continues to stiffen up.
And then that stupid play.
Like the Christian Dremel return here was one of the more shocking plays of the entire game, because that's another thing that really grinds my gears. Why are we not, if he is supposed to be back there, because he is a senior, because he's a guy with reliable hands, why is he just calling the kill on everything that's not, kicked literally within like a 5-foot radius around where he's standing? Like the amount of yards we lose every time he lets that thing bounce 10, 15, 20, 25 yards beyond where he's standing. Why are we not coaching him to just like run to the ball and like call the fair catch there. Like, I get we have like PTSD from the Rashad Rochelle years where he muffed like 3 or 4 punts in like one season. But don't you think that a 50-year senior who led the team in receiving last year should be trusted enough just to cleanly field a punt? I don't know.
It's mind-boggling almost.
Another drive that goes nowhere for Rutgers here. Back-to-back sacks after a negative play on first down. Rutgers offense starts to come alive. The momentum starts to shift here. We force them to punt again. This was one of the biggest plays of the season for Rutgers when they're 3rd and 13 from your own 2, and you uncork a beautiful pass to Ben Black, which was ominous for a reason you'll soon find out. A defensive holding call, which gives us another first down, a great run by Sam Brown. And this is why like staying on or ahead of schedule can allow you to do different things, because on 2nd and reasonable, we were able to dial up a deep pass to Ben Black, perfect throw by Ethan. And Ben Black, like, I don't know, it was like almost like somebody pressed the reset button mid route, because he just like his hands weren't connected to his brain and his head wasn't connected. Like how that ball hit him with where his hands ended up, I don't know. It's like didn't even realize it was coming. Freshman
mistake there. I can't blame it too much on that, but I feel like that's all it is. It's just a matter of turning your body before even catching the ball. It happens. I mean, that's the worst case scenario though, because it's another touchdown right there, like easy touchdown without a doubt.
Easy touchdown. So at this point, it should be tied. This should be a 14-14 game. Kyle Monungai scored. Ben Black dropped the touchdown. Rutgers has to turn it over on downs.
1, 2, 3.
Sorry, they punt it. I hate that.
I don't know why it says that. Yeah.
Rutgers gets to Nebraska to go 3 and out again. This is when like Nebraska fans were clearly on the edge of their seats for most of the fourth quarter. We just start moving the ball however we want down the field. Ben Black catches this was a really tough catch, because if you remember, it was deflected right in front of him. And those balls on those quick deflections, like the trajectory of the ball is really hard to track. When a ball's coming at you at 45 to 55 miles an hour, and it, like that's why like breaking balls are so hard to hit for professional baseball players, because you don't expect it to move with late movement, and that's what it did. But Ben Black somewhat redeems himself there to put it to a 1-point score or 1-score game. Rutgers once again forces a 3 and out here. What were you about to say, Rich?
Just thankfully it wasn't like tipped any worse. Like it was tipped, but it was like barely tipped, so it still kind of had like a little tiny bit of a spiral, kind of looked like a duck a little bit. And he just got lucky as hell with the hands there. But I thought it was a beautiful play call, and everything worked out really well. Touchdown, but
and then Rutgers just kind of ran out of gas. There's also a fake punt here, which was
somewhere in there.
Don't remember where it went, but redemption for Nebraska's punter after he got his freaking shit pushed in all afternoon.
Oh my God, there's no way he's fully healthy going in next week.
But if you would have told me like, okay, I'm not going to tell you the final score, but here's what happens in this game. Ben Black is streaking wide open down the sideline. Perfect throw by Ethan. Not going to tell you if he caught it or not. We blocked 2 punts on the day. Kyle Monungai, how many yards did he end up with?
Near 80. I think it was 79 on the day.
Okay, let's just say Kyle Monungai has, in the first half, 65 rushing yards, right around there.
78.
Let's say we hold Dylan Rayola to his worst game ever as a college player. Let's say he throws under 50% passing. We win the turnover battle, and we sack him 4 times. In the chat, I want you guys, with just those details, Kyle Monungai 65 yards in the first half, win the turnover battle, 4 sacks, hold Dylan Rayola to under 50% passing, and we have a wide open touchdown. Ben Black down the sideline. What would you guys say the score would be? That's a 2-touchdown score. That's a 2-touchdown win if you were to just tell me those numbers.
Yeah. I mean, There's so much wrong. Like it's so defeating just in general, just because this is such a winnable game. And despite all the injuries, they still were in it into the very end. And that last drive, like you said, they're just tired. They're done. Like, it was like 3 and out, and then a lucky catch by Kenny Fletcher. Then 4 and out after that. And it was just such a shame, just because that touchdown changes things. That Jay Patel field goal kick, if he hits it, changes things. The Ben Black touchdown changes things. Like, there's too many ifs in this one. Like, it's crazy.
Rosie with the smart ass 7-4-14. Yeah, thanks. So just like so many frustrating things. The defense, I want to shout them out because they have been a punching bag, and kind of rightfully so. They played kind of like shit the last 2 games, especially. The defense was fantastic today. Let's give them their flowers because, I think Greg made some bad decisions this game, like he has the last 2 games, a handful, mind you. But I mean, there's only so many times a coach actually makes a firm decision in a game. Like, the play callers are making play calls. Greg Schiano is the one who's got to be the overseer. He's the one who's calling timeouts, decision to go for it on like 4th downs, decision to punt or kick field goals. Like, those are the decisions a head coach makes. He's not calling plays. I just want to clarify that. So I think there's been some decisions by Greg that have cost us. Some play calls on the offensive side today were awful. But the play calling on the defense, they did everything I thought they needed to do to win this game. They were able to limit big plays, especially in the second half. They were able to get pressure on Dylan Raiola.
Huge.
They were able to stop the rushing game of Nebraska. Like, Nebraska, as a team, they averaged, and I haven't taken sacks out of this, but they averaged 2.3 yards per carry as a team. If we remove Dylan Raiola's numbers from those rushing numbers, that equals out to, sorry, I'm going to do some live math. This is not great radio here, but
you're good.
Too bad. So if we remove the sacks from Dylan Raiola, they averaged less than 3.5 yards a carry on the day. That's fantastic.
And they were missing guys, and these guys aren't even 100% that were out there. Like, you're missing Robert Longerbeam. Like, Flip Dixon wasn't 100% going out there. He was a game time decision. Like, and like even the linebacker room, like, they've noticed that there's been some issues there. So you saw a lot more Timmy Hinspeter out there in the first half, and even the second half, you saw him a couple times. So I credit to them for making adjustments, and that's, I mean, you can credit Greg, you can credit Harris Simiak. Harris Simiak just called a pretty damn good game for the most part. Kosh Sanders played a lot. Like, these are a lot of young guys that were getting a lot of snaps, and they didn't really miss a beat. But shout out to Shaquan Loyal. I thought he had a really good game.
Shaquan had a fantastic game. Aaron Lewis had a great game.
Keontae Hamilton prior to the injury.
Keontae Hamilton, yeah. So I guess we could talk about some injuries. Who were some guys that you're concerned with moving out of this game injury-wise?
In general, I think Longerbeam will be fine. I think he'll be back. I don't think that's an issue. Flip Dixon obviously played. Ian Strong, a little bit of a concern, but you kind of saw Corey Duff almost fill the void, like, with ease. I don't want to say with ease, but I know Ian Strong did play. But
yeah, those two look so similar to one another.
Yeah,
Strong's just got probably 10 more pounds of muscle on him, but they're very similar looking players. 8 and the 9 always throws me off. Goes
to show you how good that St. Anthony's team was, because I don't think they beat Don Bosco last year, or 2 years ago, but I think they put up a damn good fight, or maybe they did beat him. I forget. But either way, they're just like clones of each other. I say the biggest one is Brian Felter. Brian Felter being out for the year. You have to figure out what this left guard situation is. Taj White was an issue today. Dante Chin was an issue last week. Shedrick Rhodes was your backup left tackle today. So now what are we doing? Like, I thought we brought in Rhodes as the guy, and he was supposed to be the right tackle going into the year. And then you saw Tyler Needham struggle today. So that's another question mark, and that's not even on the left side of the line. So you have to figure out this line without Felter, whether you have to move maybe Asamoah to the left side. I don't know. Like, he's been good at, or decent at right guard, I should say. But you have to find the 5 that work. And I didn't think. I mean, they always say an offensive line is always only as good as the unit as a whole. But you remove Felter from this line, and it just goes from one of the best in the Big Ten to mid to low Big Ten. Like, it was bad today. Like, it was really bad today.
Yeah, because if you have a weak link along the offensive line, this is what a lot of staffs do. You try and funnel everything there. You make that the pressure point. It's sort of like, if you got a bruise on your arm, that's where your little brother will stick his thumb and hold into it because that's where it hurts. That's how you attack an offensive line that has one hole on it, and that's what we have right now. Not saying that Taj White can't improve. He's still a young guy. Not saying Dante Chin can't improve. He's still a young guy, but like teams have attacked us there. Like when Brian Felter missed time last week, Dante Chin let up a huge sack. This week, there was a couple big sacks that came through the left guards. So,
I mean, if you look at it, like Taj White has been practicing tackle for God knows how long, seasons now. Like the insert him in at left guard tells you have an issue with the guard position currently. How you fix it, you have to trust that 40 years of coaching knowledge and 2 Super Bowl rings can somehow piece together a makeshift line at this point. I think this entire week's going to be spent just figuring out who could be that guy. I don't know if a young guy could step up. I'm just trying to think of names. Like I don't even have like a name for you. Like Nick Oliveri played a little bit early on in the season, so maybe you try him out at this point. Like you just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what you try. And then the biggest issue with the line today that really pissed me off was I think the guys, and I think the atmosphere at Nebraska played a role in this. It just seemed like they weren't hearing the snap. Like the entire line, but Zelinskis would jump before the snap even was snapped, like before the ball was even snapped. So it's like that's a big issue. Now is that crowd noise? Is that not hearing correctly? Like is it miscues? Like
this was that one really bad sack that we've referenced a few times. Just watch the left guard here. Doesn't even get a hand on Ty Robinson.
Or just turned around, so then the linebacker runs in right after him too.
Yep.
But they're the worst game possible for the guard to be out because their interior defensive line is a threat. Like,
yep. Watch this play from the opposite angle. Like, what are you doing here, brother?
Because Brian Felter was out with the injury,
just swims right over him. Anyway.
It's just a whiff. It sucks.
We'll try and answer some of these questions. What's our identity now, though? I think our identity is the same. Like, the offense goes through Kyle Monungai. Defense is hard-nosed and, forces teams to do things they don't want to do. Like, we played a great game defensively today. We allowed 14 points. That's the lowest amount of points by far Nebraska has scored this year. I think this is a stat that I don't know after today's games if it still holds. But I think we've held each one of our opponents this year to their lowest scoring output on the season so far. The lowest amount of points that Nebraska scored before today was 28 or 24. I'm sorry, and that was in an overtime game, mind you. And then if we look at, if you want to check that out,
I'm looking right now.
Yeah. So I think
Howard and Akron definitely, or I'm sorry, Akron scored 7 against South Carolina and 10 against Ohio.
Okay.
Whatever. Akron lost by 30. Like, who cares?
Anemic offense. Yeah, I just think we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot. I think our offense has looked fine. We had 70 yards of rushing in the first quarter, and then we went away from it. I did my halftime spaces, and the guy Connor, who I did the interview with for Corn Crazed, came on and was like, "Hey, the only thing I have to ask is, why'd you guys stop running the ball? You were just tearing us up, and you gave up on running the ball at the end of in the second quarter." And I said, "I don't know. I think a lot of us are asking that."
So that stat's true. They held Nebraska, Washington, Virginia Tech, and Howard to our lowest outputs of the season. Akron is the lone holdover there, but it's, again, 30-point win. Like, who cares?
Yep. No problem, P-Matt. Appreciate you joining us once again. I got some super comments or whatever they call them here.
Super chat.
We got some super stickers from P-Matt at Pusset. Thank you very much for that.
I don't know what the
Same thing to DW Kim. Look at the defensive stat line. We should have won. Totally agree. 4 sacks today. We had how many before this game? 4 total?
Yeah. So now you have 8 on the year, I believe.
Okay. You guys do a great job on, especially after the tough loss. The 2021 offensive line class is not panning out. Hurt us. Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of
2021 class in general.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Not a lot of success stories out of the early classes from Schiano 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, to strike out, there's injuries, there's medical retirements. Taj White doesn't look good. Dante Chin looks, he's probably one of the better of the bunch and doesn't look good. Like, it's, rough.
Yep. Today's game was winnable. Totally agree. Offensive line couldn't hang in. I thought they, for the most part, were not bad. Black dropped a key pass. Yep. And we couldn't score on our own goal line. Yeah. Yep. Unfortunately.
You're on the 2. Like, you're on the 2.
Yeah. We ended too many drives in Nebraska territory without scoring. Like, I literally can't believe this when I'm looking at it. Like, if you look at all our drives on the day, we ended without points from the Nebraska 25, the Nebraska 43, the Nebraska 34, the Nebraska 36, the Rutgers 47, the Nebraska 45, the Nebraska 2, the Nebraska 44, the Nebraska 45, the Nebraska 0. So we did score a touchdown eventually, and then we had the turnover on downs on the final drive of the game. It's unbelievable. Like,
where's that comment you have pinned here? I'm trying to go through the rest of them.
It's from 8:51, so about 8 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Ago.
Yeah, I see. There's a lot more. Well, yeah, 100. He's coming back. He already said it.
Yep.
That's. I mean, that's good news for next year's team on the bright side.
Yep.
The one right above that, actually. Like, you can't say they don't have chemistry. Like, Ethan's been here since January. Like, he's been with the team forever. Like, Dymere Miller's been with the team since January. Ben Black's, I believe, enrolled early. Corey Duff enrolled early. Like,
I don't think Dymere Miller has a drop this year yet either. So I think the guys dropping passes are primarily young guys and Chris Long in traffic. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. It's pretty accurate. There was Ian Strong with the 2, I think, but they're not really. I don't know if you count them as drops. Like, they're not drops. Like,
Ian's definitely a young guy, though.
Oh yeah, I guess you. Jesus, yeah, you're right. I can't. Mind is fried right now.
That's all good.
Let's see what else.
Josh Fink said defense was great, hands down. We kept them in check. Offense laid an egg. Yep, we did. This wasn't the game we needed to win. I agree we didn't need to win it, but I do challenge you guys to think how much less excited you would be at 8-1 playing a 9-0 Louisville in 2006. Like, this had the opportunity to really just be for the kids who are at college right now and the kids who are in middle school, high school. Like, I still vividly remember the entire 2006 season. I wasn't even at Rutgers at the time, but that's what kind of hooked me. We need, in this area especially, we need a hook. Like, there's not going to be rabid fans for a 7-5, 8-4 type team where you miss a bowl game twice every 5 years. Not saying that's the trajectory we're on, but you need to really hook people. And for anybody who went to Rutgers games prior to 2006, it was never hard to get in the stadium until it was for that Louisville game and a few games leading up to that. But everyone in the surrounding area thought that I'll just get Louisville tickets week of, or I'll be able to figure them out, and they weren't. And that's kind of part of what drove the popularity of Rutgers and obviously winning. But I don't know. I feel like we missed out on a unique opportunity to have what Indiana's having right now. Like, Indiana, I think, is either 5-0 or 6-0. They're going to be the talk of. They're going to lead every college football podcast. They're going to lead, so many TV shows this week. Rutgers, they're still having a good season, but they had the opportunity to be right in the same breath because people still view Nebraska as a blue blood in a lot of areas, even though they're not. No offense to Nebraska fans in the chat, but I don't think Nebraska's even been in a freaking bowl game since 2016, 2017. Yeah. So.
You're right, though. Momentum. I mean, momentum with a 5-0 Rutgers team heading into Wisconsin, which looks like a possible, or almost not, I shouldn't say guarantee, but it looks like a pretty highly good opportunity for them to win that game. And then they should win UCLA. That's a 7-0 Rutgers team going into USC. That momentum, even for this upcoming game for Wisconsin, if you're 5-0, it's almost a guaranteed sellout, I feel like. But now that you're not, it turns things back, and people look at, like, I have my friends that aren't Rutgers fans. I have a West Virginia fan. That's one of my friends. I have a UNC fan. Like, everyone's just, they're all these other fans because they grew up in a time where Rutgers was like, okay. And now it's like when that 06 season, or like this season, like when they started out 4-0, people are texting me like, yo, like, get me tickets, dude. Like, get me tickets. Now it's 4-1, and it's like, oh, like, never mind. I can go buy them for $5 again. Like, it's a shame because it could have been program changing a little bit.
I want to touch on this for a second. So I think like there's an amount of like symbiosis that goes into a good offensive line where like all these guys have played with each other for almost 2 full years now. When you talk about Felter, you talk about Zelinskis, you talk about Pierce. You know, Tyler Needham was a starter before he got hurt last year. Kobe Asamoah played a lot, especially when Dunlap was in and out of the lineup. Like the right guard spot last year was just, it seemed like that was the most churned spot on the team.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why Brian Felter, you know, has been a multi-year starter. And the guys who are behind him are, you know, young guys. They're Dante Chin, they're
Taj White.
They're Taj White. And it's different in college than it is in the NFL when, you know, let's say a guy like, I don't know, say a guy like Zach Martin or Quentin Nelson goes down for their teams. They're you know, really, they're the star guard of their team. The replacement is going to be a drop, but that's still a replacement who played 5 years of college ball, is 28 years old, fully developed and matured, seen a lot of football, been in a lot of hostile environments. You know, Taj White is 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Dante Chin, 19, 20 years old, hasn't seen a lot of football. They might have played at a small school in high school, never been in front of a crowd that was bigger than a few thousand people as a player. And now they're playing in Nebraska, 90,000 people for their homecoming. Like that is where the big gulf is, I guess, when you're talking about like backups in the NFL to backups in college. So yeah, there is a pretty big difference between a starter and a backup on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a pretty good center for sure. The Hawaiian guy.
Yeah. But like, I think Keontae Hamilton did pretty solid today too. So it's like their guards aren't great. I wouldn't say. I'd say they're good.
He corrected himself. D-line.
Oh, D-line.
Yeah, their D-line was very good.
I was going to say, I was very confused. Yeah, their D tackle. Going back to defensive tackle. Defensive tackles were phenomenal. They are very, very good. And like I said before, for them to go against a second string left guard, I mean, of course they're going to attack the hell out of them, and they did just that.
Brandon Lee, this is the worst game Dylan has played by far. LOL, but Nebraska still has allowed 0 rushing touchdowns officially. I guess he said that tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
that was a bummer.
Crazy.
Feel free to keep commenting here, guys.
Yeah, I see people bringing up Reggie Sutton. I'll be honest, I don't think Reggie Sutton has it in him anymore. The man's been through hell and back. I mean, people I've talked to have said like it's one more injury away from like, dude, like your knee exploding basically. It's just not worth the risk. Is he like an emergency lineman? Sure, I guess he could be. God forbid they need one, but I don't see him going out there. They would have. It's clear as day they would have put him out there if he was capable enough. What you got out of him last season is like a miracle on its own.
Yep, definitely agree. Today's loss is an outrage, plain and simple. Ethan seemed nervous, and why didn't Schiano call for a review on that near actual touchdown? Again, I haven't watched the presser, but from what I understand, there is a mechanism for a coach to ask for a review that he clearly did not exercise. He didn't call a timeout.
Someone said he didn't want to call a timeout. He didn't want to waste one so early.
But he used one on that same possession anyway on 4th down.
Just
don't give me that. Like I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, like.
I know. Yeah, frustrating. I haven't seen the press conference pop up yet, though. Still, which is also frustrating. Actually, it's up. We could put it on here technically.
Yeah, let's get that on here.
Send it to you.
You say you're sending it to me?
Yeah, I was gonna let you. I guess I could just do it too.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Let me know if it's too loud. Where are we at? Present.
Thanks again for the donation, Delmarva. I agree. This year you're sneaking the playoffs to meet the talk of the town in a year where the Giants and Jets are trash. I don't like Craig hear that, but
I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Is this
did
too
you share
loud
the
for you?
audio? You didn't share the audio. I can't hear anything.
No, did I not? Okay, how do I do this? See, this is
when
why you should be in charge of it.
Well, yeah. Just when you hit present and you select the tab.
Oh, I have to do a
there's
tab
little
instead
top.
of a got green.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's got to be tab.
Okay.
Well, thanks for,
Too loud?
You turn it up.
Good.
That's good.
had plenty of opportunities to win the game. We have to coach better. We have to play better. And I know that sounds like every coach who loses a game, but it's the reality of it. And not just today, right? Because it doesn't just happen today. It's all week long. The little things. Where do you find the inches? You got to search for the inches everywhere. And
That's what she said.
haven't had this feeling since Thanksgiving weekend. It's guys in that locker room are hurting, but I'm proud of how hard they played. I'm proud of how smart they played. We just didn't play well enough to win this game. So we'll get on a plane, go home, and get back to work and figure it out. Questions?
I can pause it whenever.
Kyle broke the plane on
Yeah.
that first goal from the 1 yard line. Obviously, they called him short. What was your vantage point, and why didn't you call timeout and challenge the play?
Well, I asked them. They challenge. Contrary to most people's belief, they review every play, and I said to them, "Why isn't that a touchdown?" He said, "They watched it. It's not. So I'm not going to waste the timeout in the second half if they tell me it's not a touchdown." I mean, I've watched it since.
Did you think it was a touchdown?
Not getting into that.
Take that as a yes.
I mean, you're just going to go. I disagree with the decision, just for the sole fact that you're going to go based on what the guy said versus it's not like I know they review every play technically, but like they still have to go to the booth and go to the studio or whatever, the Big Ten rules analyst, correct? To actually review it or. So like, you're just going to go based on what this guy said instead of actually like going through the whole process. If you're confident enough that that's a touchdown, you call timeout and figure it out.
I think you call timeout and you go Super Saiyan Schiano on the sideline and just like get your power level to over 9,000 and just force them to do something. Like we've seen Schiano blow a gasket on the sideline before. Like that's the way you do it.
His own staff at one point.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. If that's how he said it played out, like you got to take him at his word. But I feel like I'm calling a timeout there, and I'm losing my ever-loving shit on the referee to the point where like he's got no choice other than to like kick it to Dean Blandino in the studio kind of shit. Anyway.
Yeah, basically. All right, let's go back to this.
You were talking about the feeling. You haven't had this feeling since last year. What's your general feeling? Do you feel like your team beat itself today? A little excuse.
No, I don't feel we beat ourselves. I think that was everything it was built up to be. It's an old-fashioned Big Ten slugfest. Two teams played really hard. We made a couple mistakes in the first half that I think hurt us defensively. Second half, that's the defensive football team I know. I mean, they were suffocating.
Yeah, totally agree there.
We got plenty of stuff to build on. It's just stinks because you got to do it from the L column. We've been able to do it from the W as of late, but not going to stop this crew. It's not going to stop this staff. That's what we do. Chopping isn't just when you win, guys. The thing I was excited about is I got to see some really young guys that were forced into action, and they played really well. KJ Duff, Ben Black, Kaj Sanders, Bo Masco, and a guy like Al-Shadi Salam, who we moved over to DB in the bowl prep. He went out and played. He played in the Big Ten game, a lot of snaps. So we're building depth. We're getting better, but today it wasn't good enough, which really, really hurts.
I feel like we didn't give Bo Mascow his flowers. Like he had a very solid game.
He had a really good game. I think we're not giving a lot of the defenders their flowers. I thought the defense played so well today.
Yeah. No,
They
100%.
played more than good enough for us to win that game.
I think it was the
Without
one
doubt.
TFL where Moscow just read the play completely and just got him behind the line of scrimmage. It might have been at the line of scrimmage technically, so maybe not a TFL, but just read it like a book, like perfect tackle, perfect everything. The DBs in general just played really well despite missing their top DB.
Let's talk about Flip Dixon. He was
Yeah.
He was considered a quote unquote true game time decision and made so many tackles today. Most of his tackles were solos. He had that crucial interception, and sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. That's what he was, but it's so easy to drop those passes. Anybody watched the Syracuse game last night? UNLV's defenders on Syracuse's final drive of the second half before overtime, 2 balls right to their chest, dropped them both, and they ended up losing. So you gotta be able to make a play when it's presented to you, and Flip Dixon did.
I kind of want to touch on that for sole fact that I don't know if this is strategic, and I'm probably way too deep into the rabbit hole conspiracy theory right now. Did Rutgers wear the white helmets because Nebraska had white helmets with red lettering and just said maybe we get lucky on something stupid like that? And Dylan turns, looks real quick, sees a white helmet, and just oh shit, wrong guy.
I think it probably had more to do with it being a projected 95 degrees on the field today, and white doesn't absorb as much light as red, and will be not as hot. But
I like my theory better.
I think you had
let's go back to this.
9 possessions inside the 50 of your first 10. Just how disappointed it is to only have 7 points on the scoreboard to show for that.
Yeah, disappointed for sure, and tip my hat to Nebraska's defense. I thought they played really well. I mean, there's always a counter force. It's not. I don't think we made huge mistakes that cost. I think it's a good defense, very big and strong. We missed Brian Felter, but having said that, I was really proud of Taj White. He stepped in there, having not really played any substantial time in the Big Ten, and went in there and battled every single play. I mean, that's going from zero to every play in one of the best 5 D lines, or at least interior D lines in America. Those guys are strong, big, and tough. So,
you mind pausing it for a second?
Just a couple faults.
Yeah, I think this is such a great point. Why are we not either dotting the I on the goal, running, I formation stuff, or just doing tush pushes at the goal line? No idea. We clearly could run it because we got it easily later in the game on that 4th and 1. But I don't know. This is a great question.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It was just they should have. They were on a 2, with Kyle Monangai, arguably the best running back in the Big Ten. I know they got stuffed on the 1, but go to it again, try it again.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever. Might as well go through the rest of this, right?
Yeah, let's just finish it off. Yeah.
All of us. One, do you regret in hindsight not challenging that play?
I asked them. They told me. I mean, I'm not going to. Would you use a timeout? Think about it for a minute. You say, no, we watched it. It's not a touchdown. I'm not going to burn a timeout in the second half on doing something that I got to trust what they see, right? I mean, they're the ones making the decision. There was some
narrator. He burned a second half timeout later that same drive.
I always say if we have one of the best head of officials. I've been through a lot of them over my years. Bill Carolla does a great job. He and I will talk. I'm going to have questions. He's going to have answers. That's the way it works.
I was going to have questions.
I made mistakes today.
John's going to bring a bat to that meeting.
Everybody makes mistakes. I don't, who's perfect. So, but I did ask, and I was told that it was. So that's why I didn't challenge it. It's not the NFL where you throw a flag. They review every single play, and now it's even more proficient because it's back in Chicago and it's the same people every week doing the reviewing. You're not at the whim of whoever happens to be at the stadium that day. So, yep.
But if you're not confident it went in, you need points. Take the point. Call the timeout. Say fuck it. I don't care what you say. I'm going to go call the timeout. I know that was in for a fact. My guys up top know it was in for a fact because they saw it. We have tablets now, so we all fucking saw it. If you're that confident, it's sort of like the NFL because you have tablets now. So now you have the ability to have instant replay almost immediately.
Let's also not absolve the referees of a bad call either. I think referees are generally told if it's close, call it a score because we'll review it anyway, right? So it's very easy if there's a close call just to call it a touchdown, and if they find out it's not, then it's not. I think for the referee who did spot that play and called him down, I thought it was embarrassing for the profession because he can't see what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, why does the other guy not make that call? But
why do the two guys who actually can see the play happening not make that call?
Whatever. But all right. I'll also credit the Fonseca for asking the same question again.
I know, that's some balls on him.
How to poke the bear 101. Oh, hold on.
Can you take us through the thought process of going through that fake field goal in the first quarter?
Yeah.
Poke.
We didn't do it exactly right. So I'm not going to get into specifics because it'll give away a competitive advantage. But yeah, we didn't do it right.
Overall, how do you feel about Ethan today?
I'm proud of Ethan. There was one throw that I'm sure he wants back.
Yep. That was the one to say you're right, probably.
Today by some really big men, strong men, and he kept getting up, answering the bell. Some of those deep balls he threw were really, really good balls. All the way right to the last drive, he hits Kenny on the 4th down. I mean, he's a competitor, and he'll be back.
That was a tight window. That was impressive.
That was
given
great
the
throw.
windy conditions and kicking, special teams, all that factoring in. What distance did you feel comfortable sending Jay Patel out for a kick today? And did that kind of factor into anything with the fake?
No, I mean, we went out and we tried a 52-yarder, and he had plenty of distance. It hit at least a quarter way up the pipe, so he had a wind behind him, and that really didn't come into play. I think more that came into play is, as Steve had talked about, we had opportunities inside and hadn't scored, and then we needed to score touchdowns, right? I mean, the way you look at a game as a coach is how many possessions are left. And we're down 2 scores, and there's not a lot of possessions left, right? So it's, nobody's always right, that's for sure. But you got about 16 seconds to make the call. And I don't like some people, live and just keep rehashing it. You make the best call you can with the information you have at that moment, and you move on. Don't get into it more than that. You got to move on, right? There's a bunch of kids hurting in there.
I agree with his general premise of this, but they should be like wargaming all this out. Like these scenarios shouldn't be like, you shouldn't have to think about the scenario because you've already kind of drilled it with your coaches and your players. Like down 16, 18 minutes left, 4th and 6 from the Nebraska 35. This is a go for it situation. Like there shouldn't be deliberation. Like maybe like based on some factors in the game, you can like vary it slightly, but like these situations should be kind of like settled before the game even starts.
Yeah, especially someone who's like down to the second, like that needs to micromanage just everything as a coach. Like, and he's one of those coaches. Like you have to have a game plan pretty much for everything.
And I'm sure he does, and that's the point. But I think this is obviously a tough loss. But there should be very few situations in any game where like you're having to make a true like on the fly decision. Like you should kind of have a really good idea of what you want to do in most scenarios heading into a game.
Now I see this in the chat. I do agree that's probably his range, but to be fair, like Greg kind of said, he hit it like the middle of the upright, like the wind's at his back and it's 30, 40, whatever mile per hour winds it was. That thing could have went 58, maybe more.
Yeah.
No, I thought that is definitely his range, but I don't mind the field goal attempt personally. I think that field goal hits, different game again. What is it? 7-3?
Given that it's from the 38-yard line, 4th and 15 or 4th and 12, whatever it was 4th and really long. You can't punt there because if it's a touchback, you gain what? 15 yards of field position.
Yeah.
I think it was fine. If it was a 55-yarder, it'd be one thing. It was 52. Get off the post. I think that was a fine decision.
It is what it is. I thought it was going in actually, and then I don't know what happened last second. It just started.
Last second, it got pushed. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, damn. Oh All right, we got a couple more.
I'm the leader. I got
left.
to make sure we get them to that plane. We get them fed. We get them hydrated. It was hot. I'm not, I've been doing this 37 years. I've not been in conditions like we were today. Usually if you have a wind like that, it's a storm. It's some kind of hurricane or tropical storm. Dry heat. I'm proud of our trainers and our sports science people, our strength coaches. We didn't have one guy cramp, which is huge in an environment like that, dry heat. So I don't know. Very disappointed, but I love our team. I love our staff. And we got to get ready because this is the Big Ten. And in comes Wisco, and they're good and they're big. And somebody told me they had a big victory today, so nobody's going to feel sorry for Rutgers. Thank you, guys.
All right. Oops. There we go.
All right, so we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes. I can't believe that we have almost 1,000 people in here right now. But
yeah, I mean, crazy.
This was a bummer. A game that was very much within reach for Rutgers this a few hours ago. Should have won. They didn't. I'm seeing some Mets comments in here. Congrats, you guys won game one.
Did they win?
They did.
Oh, yeah.
I got fanhood double doink today between my Phillies and my Scarlet Knights. So not a great feeling right now, along with COVID. So if you think you got it bad, just think of me tonight.
Yeah,
I am in my ivory tower up here quarantining without any of the pets either. So it's just me and my thoughts. Yeah.
Your thoughts. Get a nice bottle of LeGrand whiskey going real quick, and you'll be good to go for the night.
Yeah. I'll be there next weekend for Wisconsin.
Yankees are up, luckily. So I don't want to say anything, but so you're going next week, which means our post game show is going to be the latest. Or no, it's noon. It's noon game. Never mind. I take it back.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed. That's BTN now, right?
Probably.
Did that get announced? I feel like it's
unless. I don't know what Wisconsin's record. Are they 4-2 now?
They did just beat the shit out of Purdue.
Yeah.
3-2.
Okay, 3-2.
I will say, as bad as I used to think UCLA is, they didn't look quite as bad as I thought today with a backup quarterback.
Stop.
So
they're terrible.
I mean, they're going to have to travel. Like, they showed the map of them traveling this year because they had to go to Hawaii. They went to, I think Washington came to them, or vice versa, whatever. And then they went to Penn State today, and then they go home, and then go home versus Oregon, and then it's like, oh yeah, then we have to go back over there to Rutgers, and it's like, oh my god, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not going to be any there are weaker teams on our schedule, but there's no Akrons left.
Yeah.
So there's no team you can literally just hit like sim if you're playing CFB 25 and expect to win. You're going to need to actually win these games. And today we didn't play to win, and we lost. The game we could have won.
Well, to be fair, we do hit sim every week. And it worked out in Rutgers' favor in the video game, but not in real life. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks to all you sickos who decided to watch us. We will be back on Monday with our nuanced thoughts after these crazy ruminations have been in our minds for 2 days. We'll then regurgitate it out. Hopefully we have a little more insight and a little less just butthurt flowing at you.
Yeah. You say sickos as if we're not going to go rewatch this thing.
Well, that's the one great thing about Hulu is that I can just hit record and I can watch it anytime.
Yeah, but BTN Plus, same thing.
Yeah, we're on to Cincinnati, as Belichick said, but we're on to Wisconsin. Not going to be an easy game in terms of, just a walkover, but we're going to be favored in this one. We should win this game. Wisconsin's got a pretty bad quarterback in Braden Locke. Let me just make sure I got all the super chats in here.
Lost their running back as well. Don't forget.
Yep. Ches Malusi basically medically retired without officially doing it. So
it's a shame. But what are you going to do? that's really it. Some exciting stuff in college football. We talked about Vandy. Did you see UConn stop Temple at the goal line and return it for a touchdown last second? That was wild.
Is that how they won the game, or is that
No, they were up 3-0, but like if Temple got in, they won, and they didn't. It was like
Got
a
it.
1 yard line. It was disgusting. Like college football is just it's insane. I really don't know who wins it this year. It's going to be a very interesting scenario at the end.
It's gonna be a fun
Those
year.
12 teams. But I mean, maybe we'll see Rutgers in the playoffs still. It's not out of the question because one loss.
They're gonna have
is
to
what
go
it is.
11-1 to do that.
100%, but that's not unheard of. They just got to beat that pesky USC team, basically. But don't look ahead. Wisconsin next week. Scarlet out. We're red.
Yes, we're red. But if you look at USC is at Minnesota right now, and they're not blowing them away. They're scored. I think it's 10-10 still. But
It is, and yeah, Max Brosmer, not bad.
not bad. All right, that's it. That's all I got. That's all the voice I got left. So thanks again for listening, everybody. For me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Instant Reaction Live, whatever we call it,
Show
of the Night Report podcast. We're gone. See ya.